Welcome back. Just gonna start a little bit here and there on the rear end swap. So far all we've done is put it up on jack stands. If you have a brake drum and it's all rusty like this, there's two ways that I deal with it. One is I spit on my hands, rub it together and pull it off. Unless it looks really rusty, then I just spit right on the brake drum. See if that helps. The nice thing about going from an 8 1/4 to an 8 3/4 rear end is I can use the backing plate and the brake setup right off of this 8 1/4, put it right on that 8 3/4. Just put it right on there. We won't have to mess with the brakes. That's always a good thing. Most of the time it's a 3/8 wrench. Get yourself a 3/8 wrench. Break these straps loose that hold down your drive shaft, your U-joint to the yoke. Unless you're really strong, go ahead and use your fingers like that. That'll work too. And then once you get it all out of there, the both straps out, you know, then usually you can just take your wrench and get behind there and just push that right out like so. And for what we're doing, I'll just let that be like that. Just keep everything together so you don't lose it. A good place to put them is just right on the floor of your vehicle. Unless you really care about it, then you can just put it right on the seat. In order for us to get these backing plates and brakes off, we have to get the axles out. In order to do that, we have to go in the differential and remove some C-clips. So let's get started. Keep in mind, all my tips and tricks are just my opinion. Take it as unprofessional advice. Your results may vary. We're just going to take these 10 bolts out that hold the differential cover on. Then just take a screwdriver and see if you can get behind this plate here and get it loose. You're going to lose some differential grease. Yeah. Like that. Now we got to take a pin out and I'll show you. Okay. In order to get those axles to slide out for us, if you don't know, we got to get this pin out. And that pin is held in by this 5/16 bolt that we got to get out of there. So once I break that loose and back that out, then we'll be able to take this pin out, and then you push the axles in, and I'll show you, and then the C-clips fall out, and you can slide your axles out. So let me break this loose real quick. Just finished taking this bolt here that holds that pin in. Oh, here comes the pin. That pin is notched to where that goes in. You can see that? There's a hole there. Cool. Now we can push the axles in. I push this in, a C-clip's gonna fall out. You may be able to hear it. I just can't show you both at the same time. Okay. I had this turned up so the C-clips wouldn't fall out on us. See that? You can drop your spider gears if you turn this now, where that pin goes through. We just gotta get our C-clips out of there. There's one. Just gave it a little bit of a kick. Got that axle in a little bit more, and there's the other one. There, now I can pull my axle right out. Hopefully those spider gears don't go flying on me when I do. And now, all we have to do is take off these bolts that go around here, and we can pull off this brake assembly with the backing plate. We'll hit it with a little bit of PB Blaster. Make life a little easier for us. There was only 4. This other one here was just a pin down here, but on the 8 3/4 it'll be a stud we put a nut on. We're not going to disconnect our brake lines. I'm just going to try to pull it. There's enough bend in the brake line that it should come off like this, and we can just set it to the side. So I slid the axles all the way back in, and then I'm going to just put the seat clips back in, the pin back in, and that way this rear end stays together. You never know. Just a guy never knows. Yeah, that's enough that we won't lose it. Now I'm just going to put the cover back on this, real zip, zip, zip. And then we'll move on to the next step. Before we get carried away and loosen the U-bolts, or try to, we got to take this last break. Break this one loose, if we can, carefully. And this may be the only thing that doesn't really line up on the 8 1/4 versus 8 3/4. We'll see where we're at and how far we're off and what we got to do. That's the small thing. Okay, it popped loose. And there's the bolt, and there's that. And this all stays with the truck. Then you just want to make sure your brake lines are clear of any hooks like this, because we're leaving the backing plates and stuff with the brake system with the truck. We'll just go ahead and remove the shocks. Like so, because it's really important that we save those shocks. They're just about like new. When it comes to the U-bolts, you're oftentimes just better taking your grinder and just snipping them. Get new ones. You can't hardly get these ones off, and probably should put new on anyway. They're cheap enough, like 20 bucks a set or something if you go to O'Reilly's. These ones over here had already been replaced, so they're zipping right off for me. I will reuse those. Because the rear end is mounted under the leaves, the rear end's going to want to flop on you when it drop right down when you loosen the U-bolts, so be careful. I put a jack underneath here, and we'll finish snipping these off, and this rear end's going to drop right out. Now we can just drop this shock mount. Now we just got to be careful that we don't throw a bunch of sparks all over the gas tank or in your eyes or anything, so make sure you wear your eye protection. Let's see what we can do. Sometimes when they're hot, they hurt a little bit. There. That rear end is free. Just got to lower it with the jack. And see, our brakes just stayed together for the 8 3/4. And there's the beast. Until I get help, we'll just move it like this. Good enough. to make up the difference for the added weight. The 8 3/4 is a little heavier than the 8 1/4. So to make up that difference in power, we're going to go ahead and put one of these on it. The install is complete. I'll show you. Run over just a couple of things with you. So let's take a dive underneath. Here it is. I just did the reverse of everything that you saw me do. I put the rear end up here, got the U-bolt started, put the backing plates on, ran the brakes. The brakes I didn't have to do anything with. They hooked up just like that on both sides. One thing I do want to run over here with you is when you go to the 8 3/4 from the 8 1/4, that yoke is going to stick out about a 1/4 inch further. Usually, and I've never had it to where you didn't have the clearance, but you want to check it, and I was okay with this one. Again, the Dr. Diff axles were spot on. You give him the right measurements, you'll get the right axle. This video was just about how to put a 8 3/4 where 8 1/4 rear end sat. Same principles, pretty much gonna be with a Duster or a Satellite or any other thing. In this case, it was a pickup. I'll do another video with how it responds to the 430's, and that's quite a jump from 2.71's. Just be sure and stay tuned. We'll have more updates on this and what all's gonna happen, and with the other projects I've been working on. Oh, you wonder why my shirt is different about every so often in this video? That's because, like I said, I just picked at this here and there as time permitted. Time is just precious. Till next time, be safe.